It looks like Rockstar has started to make a lot of hints towards Liberty City in Grand Theft Auto Online, and we'll be talking about why they might be doing this and how this could be related to a future update. But first, I want to dive into the references that Rockstar have actually made. Regarding the most recent one, it actually has to do with the current event week, where Rockstar announced that you would get the free t-shirt. It's the TW at Internet Cafe. And you can unlock it this week in Grand Theft Auto Online simply by logging in. And on the Newswire, Rockstar says all players who log into GTA Online this week will receive a throwback from the heydays of seedy Liberty City internet cafes. The TW at logo T absolutely free of charge. So that's the first big reference to Liberty City there is an in-game brand that Rockstar has advertised on their t-shirt that directly relates back to Liberty City. Now, in case you guys are wondering, this in-game brand is actually only featured in Liberty City. It's the totally wireless internet cafe featured in Grand Theft Auto 4 and its episodes, but also making brief appearances in the 3D era games as well, like Grand Theft Auto 3 and Liberty City Stories. And it actually makes quite a lot of sense why we don't see any of these cafes in Grand Theft Auto 5, because it probably reflects the decline of internet cafes with the presence of mobile internet access by the time the game came out and when the game is actually set, which is in 2013. So that would make sense, and again, it is a nice throwback to Grand Theft Auto 4, but more particularly Liberty City, because this cafe was featured in Grand Theft Auto 3, which took place in Liberty City, Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, which took place in Liberty City, and then The Ballad of Gay Tony and The Lost and the Damned, which also took place in Liberty City Stories. And we even see it briefly in Chinatown Wars, which again also set in Liberty City. So it is a clear reference to that particular area and that particular setting in the Grand Theft Auto franchise. And it kind of makes you wonder if this t-shirt reward unlock was intentional, hinting at what could be coming next, which again we'll discuss in a bit. And the other big clue that Rockstar did regarding Liberty City had to do when they actually released the Los Santos Summer Special, because one of the things they included was a new arcade game. And one of those new arcade games was Cubed. And on the Newswire, Rockstar said this: if you find yourself yearning for a simpler time, perhaps back in the day when 16 bits was plenty, there's good news for you. All the way from Liberty City, the classic arcade game Cube is making its way to arcades across Los Santos. So again, Rockstar references Liberty City and the Cubed arcade game. And if you guys want a little bit of history of the Cubed arcade game, it's a mini game that first appeared in Grand Theft Auto 4, then appearing again in The Lost and the Damned and The Ballad of Gay Tony. And it appeared in Grand Theft Auto 5, however, it is the non-interactive version. So the only playable versions up until Grand Theft Auto Online were only in GTA 4 and only in Liberty City. And that is the first game in which this arcade title started in, all the way back in Liberty City. So that's two pretty big LC references that Rockstar have made right there in the span of just a couple of weeks. And it kind of makes you wonder what they're doing and why would they be dropping these big hints. Well, there's been a lot of rumors and speculation fueled by what Rockstar has planned coming up later this year, where they announced that the next major Grand Theft Auto Online update will be a continuation and a new chapter of our story and a new take on heists, but also happening in an entirely new location. And that is probably the most interesting part of this entire thing, is what is that new location going to be? Is it going to be a new area of the map? Is it going to be an expansion of the current Los Santos San Andreas map? Or is it going to be an entirely new area altogether? And probably the biggest thing that players are speculating is that we will be going back to Liberty City to do some sort of heist in Grand Theft Auto 4's home. And I don't know why Liberty City has stuck out the most over any other particular locations. I can give you my own personal thoughts, and it's the only other city that we've seen so far that is in the HD era, which would probably make it a little bit easier for Rockstar to port over to Grand Theft Auto 5, whereas other cities like Vice City, San Fierro, and Las Venturas, The last time we saw them was in the 3D era, which might make it a little bit harder for Rockstar to rebuild for some sort of expansion. So that's naturally why I'm thinking Liberty City might be the biggest fit here. We've also had plenty of Liberty City crossovers as far as characters and Easter eggs that have made appearances in GTA Online. I mean, just think about all the Grand Theft Auto 4 characters that have made their way from Liberty City. Tony Prince, Malk from the Lost MC Biker Club. There's a ton of others. I mean, we even saw Johnny Klebitz in single player, even though he didn't make his way into online. But you guys get the idea. There's a lot of Liberty City crossover, especially in Grand Theft Auto Online. And speaking of characters that could potentially return, you guys might even remember in Solomon Richards' office that one Nico Bellic can actually be found on an in-game newspaper. So if you go into Solomon Richards' office, you'll find that Nico Bellic is literally there. Now, this has been in the game since day one, but Solomon's office has not been in Grand Theft Auto Online since day one, obviously. And so because of that, maybe this is them trying to say, okay, another Liberty City reference. This is the main character. We know how prolific Nico was when it came to heist. I mean, he robbed the Liberty City National Bank, of all places. So we know how good he is at what he does, which might make him the perfect sort of character to utilize in the next update, if indeed it does return to Liberty City. Now, with all of that in mind, it looks like a lot of players started catching on to this as well. I mean, just quickly looking at a couple of examples here, we heard from the Strange Man on Twitter who said, throwback from the heydays of seedy Liberty City internet cafes. All right, now add Liberty City in December. So it looks like a lot of people are starting to catch on to that. And again, we are talking about the winter heist update for when Rockstar could ultimately make that move. We heard from another user, the GTA Network France site, saying these Liberty City vibes coming again. Next time we'll meet Mr. Bellic in GTA Online. And that would be amazing if Nico Bellic did end up returning. I'm sure I could talk about an entire video on why he probably could return and also why he might not be able to return in online. There's a lot of reasons for that. And a user on the GTA forum site, Delta V20, said, I think Rockstar is giving us hints about the biggest heist DLC location. Like, we found some stuff like Nico Bellic's picture on the newspaper in Solomon's office and the TW at T. I think they are hinting at Liberty City. And that's the question I want to leave you guys with in this video today. Do you believe that Rockstar Games is hinting at a Liberty City return, particularly with the next update, which we know is going to be coming out later this year, and an entirely new location is going to have to do with heists. So again, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Do you think Rockstar is teasing something big regarding Liberty City, or do you think this is just a coincidence and they're just utilizing their in-game brands? Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and Red Dead Redemption videos that I'm doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.